There was a considerable discussion on control of the mind. And that was a conference where we were talking about technology in general and the effects it's likely to have on society and the problems related to planting of technology into underdeveloped countries. In regard to this problem of the ultimate revolution, this has been very well summed up by the moderator. In the past, we can say that all revolutions have essentially aimed at changing the environment in order to change the individual. There's been the political revolution, the economic revolution, the religious revolution, time of the Reformation. All these aimed, as I say, not directly at the human being, but at his surroundings, so that by modifying the surroundings you did achieve at one remove an effect upon the human being. Today we are faced, I think, with the approach of what may be called the ultimate revolution, the final revolution, where man can act directly on the mind-body of his fellows. Needless to say, some kind of direct action on human mind-body has been going on since the beginning of time, but this has generally been of a violent nature. The techniques of terrorism have been known from time immemorial. People have employed them with more or less ingenuity, sometimes with the utmost crudity, sometimes with a good deal of skill acquired by a process of trial and error, finding out what the best ways of using torture, imprisonment, constraints of various kinds. As Metternich said many years ago, you can do everything with bayonets except sit on them. If you are going to control any population for any length of time, you must have some measure of consent. It's exceedingly difficult to see how pure terrorism can function indefinitely. It can function for a fairly long time, but sooner or later you have to bring in an element of persuasion, an element of getting people to consent to what is happening to them. It seems to me that the nature of the ultimate revolution with which we are now faced is precisely that we are in process of developing a whole series of techniques which will enable the controlling oligarchy, who have always existed and presumably always will exist, to get people actually to love their servitude. This seems to me the ultimate malevolent revolution, shall we say. This is a problem which has interested me for many years, about which I wrote 30 years ago a fable, The Brave New World, which is essentially the account of a society making use of all the devices at that time available, and some of the devices which I imagined to be possible. First of all, making use of them in order to standardize the population, to iron out inconvenient human differences, to create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system. And since then I have continued to be extremely interested in this problem, and I have noticed with increasing dismay that a number of the predictions which were purely fantastic when I made them 30 years ago have come true or seem in process of coming true.